it in my pocket. My brother forget to just go something in your life. I feel this, you don't do nothing. I cannot open eye, make it up to one to me. Even the sun, you must to kill him man. I cannot open eye, make up to me. I don't stand up and don't look for books and down there. Lost the legacy, what has he done now? It's not to wrestle from a dog. Lost the legacy, what has he done now? For the man used to sell the brother, all the hard drugs, like kill the brother. Sell the soul, one of my life, because if you wound you, he got my life. I know that I'm tested to life skin, but I believe I can fight things. He never see more.
Greetings and warm welcome to the NDLA Twitter space. I am Mahmoud Isa Yola, and it gives us great pleasure to have you join us here today. The NDLA Twitter space serves as an online initiative directly broadcasted from the headquarters of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency through our social media platforms. Our primary objective is to increase awareness among the general public regarding drug-related concerns within Nigeria and globally. This program is recorded, allowing you the opportunity to revisit and listen to it at your convenience. Now, I have the honor of introducing the host of this program, Mr. Femi Garafemi, who not only holds the key position of Director of Media and Advocacy, but will also be our knowledgeable guide for today's session. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, Mahmoud. Let me once again welcome each and every one of us on this space, this lovely, this chilling afternoon in the capital city of Abuja. That's not to say that we're not recognizing all our compatriots across Nigeria, be you in the northwest, northeast, north central, other parts of north central, southeast, southwest, and south of Nigeria, and even beyond the shores of our great country, all the way to Europe, America, Asia, Middle East, and the rest of Africa. We appreciate all of you, and thanks for joining us like Mahmoud has said, this is NDLA's open forum on Twitter Space, a platform where we share information and facts about drug or substance abuse and its inherent dangers, why we all need to avoid coming under the pressure of abusing illicit substances or even misuse of any drug, be it licit or otherwise. This is a channel where we also update you about the activities of the agency, especially with our news highlight segment, giving you facts and details agency, and also expecting your feedback, so that it's also a platform for us to get your feedback on some of the things we do, so that that way we can best improve our deliverables, as we used to say. This conversation, like has been said, is recorded and is streamed live on our other social media handles, especially at NDLA01 on Facebook and NDLA_Nigeria on YouTube. You can always go back and listen to the recording and share with friends, so that we can spread the facts about substance abuse and how to avoid all of that. Before I invite our guest today, I already saw him well seated. Let me also remind us, let's also remind you of some of the activities of the agency in the past week. That's in our news highlights segment, which will be taken in a moment from now by Blessing Tafa. Blessing has been away on vacation. She's back now. And so she's ready to take us through some of the highlights of what the agency has been doing across the country, whether in our drug control efforts, in our drug demand reduction efforts. Blessing, let's hear from you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good day to everyone, and thank you for joining us on this week's edition of our Twitter Space conversation. My name is Blessing Jaffa, and here are the NDLEA news highlights for the week. On arrest sensations, 2 Qatar-based drug lords arrested as NDLEA intercepts their meth consignment at MMIA, destroys 30.9 hectares of cannabis farms in Edo, Delta, Ondo, arrests female pharmacist in Kaduna, seizes 1,289.3 kilograms skunk in Niger. Qatar-based drug kingpins Elias Celestine Nnamdi, alias Murphy, and Ugoke Peter Oluchukwu have been arrested by operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, following the interception of their methamphetamine consignment at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, MMIA, Ikeja, Lagos. Ugoke was the first to be arrested on 9th June during the outward clearance of Qatar Airways passengers at the departure point, Terminal 2 of the Lagos Airport. NDLEA officers discovered that the suspect was traveling to Doha with an Ivorian international passport with the name Hayen Nassis. The further scrutiny of his black carrier luggage led to the discovery of a false bottom concealment of 2 parcels of crystalline substance detected positive to methamphetamine weighing 1 kilogram. Preliminary investigation revealed that the suspect is a Nigerian who had gone to obtain an Ivorian passport for his travels. He confessed that he traveled to Qatar in August 2022 and returned from the Arab nation about 2 months ago to perfect arrangement for the movement of the drug consignment. A further probe led operatives to discover that his Qatar-based senior partner in the trade, simply identified as Murphy, was lurking around in Oziani, his hometown in Usika local government area, Enugu State. Ugoke, who hails from Igbo North local government area of the state, claims he holds a national diploma in electrical engineering from the Federal Polytechnic, Oko. The pro-deployment of NDLEA operatives on 10th June to Isiani community of Usika local government area of Enugu State led to the arrest of Murphy, whose true identity was later discovered to be Elias Celestine Nnamdi, who had lived in Indonesia for some years before relocating to Doha, Qatar. In the same vein, anti-narcotics officers of the agency have arrested a female pharmacist, Ikwebe Ori Helen, in Kaduna, following her attempt to use forged documents to purchase and distribute 6 cartons of benzocaine injection in 2,000 ampoules. She confessed she used fake documents of a Kaduna hospital to order the drug, which she planned to distribute in Kaduna, Abuja, and Sokoto. The consignment was initially intercepted at the local wing of the MMIA Ikeja while being sent to Kaduna by a flight agent. In the same way, NDLE operatives in Niger State have seized a total of 1,072 kilograms of cannabis in 2 weeks. On Thursday, 15 June, 726 kilograms of the illicit substance were discovered at Ololo filling station along Kaduna-Abuja Express Road, where 4 suspects, Aminu Mohammed 50, Yasir Mohammed 30, Rabi Haruna 29, and Hamza Abubakar 18 were arrested. The following day, 16th Friday, operatives intercepted a Mercedes 142 truck marked MKD 116CM on its way from Umunede, Delta State, with gallons of palm oil to be delivered at Garki Market in Abuja. However, the truck driver, Jeko Udenze, 38, along with his 2 assistants, Gabriel Izekwebe, 43, and Chima Uzoma, 42, stopped over at Uromi, Edo State, and loaded 19 jumbo bags of cannabis weighing 346 kilograms to be delivered at Dumas Luxury Park along Kaduna Road, Sonija, to be Delicious Bokwe, 47. Both the driver and his 2 assistants, as well as the owner of the illicit consignment, Delicious Bokwe, have been arrested. Meanwhile, a total of 30.9 hectares of cannabis farms were destroyed in Delta, Edo, and Ondo in the past week. In Delta, 18 hectares of cannabis farms were destroyed on Monday, 12 June in Umochime village, Ogune, the local West LGA by NDLE operatives supported by soldiers. 4 suspects arrested on the farms include 2 men and 2 women. Kingsley Actuala, 40, Ichekioyu Adekuru, 44, Osai Doris, 40, and Ugledno Joy, 28. In Edo State, operatives on Wednesday, 14 June, stormed Abuakpa Forest in Owan West local government area, where they arrested Malakai Amechi, Yanuwa Peter, Ojo Momo, Afam Luke, and John Eladi, who were apprehended inside a hut located on 2.5 hectares of cannabis farm, which was destroyed, and 102 kilograms of the substance already harvested recovered. Another farm measuring 1.294870 hectares was also destroyed, with the 3 farms raised totaling 3.978217 hectares. Similarly, operatives on Saturday, 17 June, raided the house of a dealer, Godwin Ejiro, 45, at OND Community, Ikoba Oka local government area, where quantities of illicit drugs including cocaine, heroin, meth, solo, and cannabis were recovered. In Ondo State, John Emmanuel 30 was arrested at Oposu with 81 kilograms cannabis on Thursday, 15 June, while operatives on same day marked Gideon Aku at Ala Forest, where a total of 9 hectares of farm were destroyed and 12 kilograms harvested substance recovered. 3.7 kilograms of the psychoactive substance was evacuated from a shop in Enugu Metropolis on Saturday, 17th June. A wanted notorious dealer, Kwada Vendi, 37, was arrested with 30.6 kilograms cannabis at Mamari, Maiduguri, Borno State on Tuesday, 13th June. In Bauchi State, 87,000 pills of tramadol and Exon 5 were recovered from a suspect, Tony Opona, 40, by NDLE operatives at Lewa Bauchi town on Saturday, 17th June. A total of 13,800 pills tramadol consignment abandoned by a suspect going to Gaidam, Yobe State was recovered at Yakaba Park, Kano on Wednesday, 14th June. While same day in Benue State, the suspect, Chidera Gabriel, was arrested with 22,100 pills of the same pharmaceutical opioid at an NDLE checkpoint in Vandatia. The Chairman Chief Executive Officer of the NDLE, Brigadier General Mohammed Budomarwa, retired, has commended the officers and men of MMIA, Delta, Edo, Ondo, Kano, Niger, Borno, Benue, Bauchi, and Enugu commands of the agency for their vigilance and professionalism in the discharge of their responsibilities. They charge them and their colleagues across the country not to rest on their oars. In another news highlight, NDLE chairman says 31,675 arrested, 5,147 convicted, 6.3 million kilograms seized in 29 months, as agency UNODC flag of activities marking 2023 World Drug Day. The Chairman Chief Executive Officer of the National Drug Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, Brigadier General Mohammed Budomarwa, retired, has disclosed that the fight against substance abuse and illicit drug trafficking has yielded significant results in the last 89 months. with the arrest of 31,675 drug offenders, 5,147 of them prosecuted and convicted, while over 6.3 million kilograms of assorted drugs were seized within the same period. Marwa stated this in Abuja on Monday 19th June at a joint press briefing with the country representative of the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, UNODC, Mr. Olivier Stowe, to flag off week-long activities marking the 2023 World Drug Day, which is an annual event to mobilize resources, align policies, and inspire organizations, communities, and nations to work in a particular direction to effectively tackle the challenges of illicit substances in society. According to the NDLEA boss, this year's theme, People First, Stop Stigma and Discrimination, Strengthen Prevention, is in furtherance of the whole of society approach to tailor the drug scourge. This theme is especially pertinent to the Nigerian situation at the moment. In the past 2.5 years, we have strengthened our law enforcement efforts to cut down on the supply of drugs in society. In 29 months, we have arrested 31,675 drug offenders, including 35 Ballons, successfully prosecuted and got convicted 5,147 of them, and over 11,000 other cases still pending in court, while 23,725 drug users had been counseled and rehabilitated, majority of them through brief interventions. At least 6.3 million kilograms of various illicit substances have been recovered in response to our efforts to sweep up drugs and shut down distribution channels. We have destroyed 852.142 hectares of cannabis farms and dismantled 3 clandestine methamphetamine laboratories. I can assure you that even as we speak, NDLEA agents are busy with interdiction activities somewhere. He said drug supply reduction is, however, only one of the components of the equation. Another crucial component is drug demand reduction, which operationally means prevention, treatment, and rehabilitation. It should go without saying that we must strike a balance between these two crucial components if we are to achieve our desired utopia of a drug-free society. NDLEA has made significant investments in prevention, treatment, and rehabilitation over the past 2 years. The doors of rehabilitation facilities are open at all times. In the last 29 months, we have acquired a few more rehab centers given to us as the nations, while we have also obtained federal government approval for the construction of regional model rehabs. More private treatment facilities are also cooperating with NDLEA. To cap it all, NDLEA went above and beyond to invest in a toll-free, round-the-clock call center that provides teletherapy. In summary, we have prioritized treatment, while our wider advocacy initiative has taken a life of its own with our commands, formations, and partnering civil society organizations, taking sensitization lectures and campaigns to schools, communities, worship places, and many more across the country every day. In addition, we have also produced TV commercials and radio jingles in different languages being broadcast on various platforms. This is simply aimed at prevention, by sensitizing the people and equipping them with facts about drugs to enable them to take the right decision against substance abuse. Marwa, who was represented at the event by the agency secretary, Shadrach Haruna, added, he charged the society to drop the stigmatization and discourages drug users from seeking treatment, a development that has serious socio-economic repercussions for individuals and their families. Stigmatization and discrimination make recovery and reintegration difficult for drug-dependent users who submit themselves to treatment, and the prevalence of such an attitude is counterproductive to the effort, time, and resources invested by governments, institutions, and corporate bodies working to contain the drug problem. In his remarks at the media briefing, UNODC country rep Olivier Stowe emphasized the benefits of international cooperation in criminal justice matters with a specific target of dismantling trafficking networks involved in this terrible trade, adding that long overdue is the need to make sure that the public and primary health care providers are better prepared to take basic drug counseling needs, knowing how to deal with people suffering from drug use disorders. He commended NDLEA for the successes reported so far in the fight against substance abuse and illicit drug trafficking in the country. Also in this bulletin, Nigeria, India agreed to block pipeline of illicit drug flow as NDLEA, NCB signed MOU. The historic signing of a Memorandum of Understanding between the National Drug Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, and the Narcotics Control Bureau of India in Abuja on Wednesday, 14th June 2023, signals that a tough time awaits traffickers of illicit drugs. Chairman Chief Executive Officer of the NDLEA, Brigadier General Mohammed Buba Marwa, retired, who signed the MOU on behalf of Nigeria's premier anti-narcotics agency, said the move represents a robust partnership in the effort to exterminate incidences of drug abuse and illicit drug trafficking in the two countries. According to him, this bold step taken by the two agencies is an affirmation of our foresight and commitment to the task of ensuring the safety of our citizens and the global community at large. Today's development constitutes a fundamental step towards positioning the two countries, India and Nigeria, at the forefront of confronting and dismantling transnational drug trafficking networks with basic capabilities of maneuvering legitimate drug law enforcement. With our understanding of the changing dynamics of the illicit drug problems, locally and globally, every major organization around the world working assiduously to curb the menace knows that working with partners greatly helps in addressing the trafficking and abuse of narcotic and psychotropic substances. The governments of both countries remain committed to eradicating the problem posed by illicit substances, notably synthetic opioids and amphetamine-type stimulants, ATS, which pose a potent threat to our citizens. While acknowledging the courage exhibited by the two agencies in the course of past meetings that culminated the MOU, one was stressed that the partnership will impact greatly on efforts to prevent illicit trafficking in narcotic drugs, psychotropic substances, precursor chemicals, and related matters between the two countries. In his remarks, Indian High Commissioner to Nigeria and Head of Indian Delegation, Ambassador Sri Balasubramanian, who signed on behalf of his country, noted the enormous negative impact of drugs on global financial and political systems, adding that poses of drug trafficking are often directed towards terrorism financing. The Indian High Commissioner observing that the drug trafficking does not only affect the health of the individual that consumes it, but equally the economy of the country, as well as national security. He advised that both countries should take advantage of their similar demographic advantage to address substance use problems. He noted that the liberal trade relations and educational advantages enjoyed by both countries have been negatively applied to further criminal trade, urging that all hands must be on deck to ensure that merchants of death do not succeed in their evil trade. He pledged the commitment of the Indian government to ensure the enforcement of the provisions of the MOU. On wider advocacy and activities. On Monday, 12th June, the Anambra State Command of NDLEA paid a wider advocacy visit to the Obi of Onitsha, His Royal Highness Professor Alfred Achebe, while the Adamawa State Command of the agency on Tuesday, 13th June, delivered a wider sensitization lecture at Government Secondary School Guru. The Ondo State Command also held a wider sensitization program for representatives of 108 public secondary schools in the Southern Senatorial Zone of the state at the Elmaris College, Otutupa. The Ogun State Command of the paid wider advocacy visit to the Vice Chancellor, Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, Professor Obechende, on Tuesday, 13th June. Even as the Borno State Command of NDLEA conducted a wider sensitization lecture for principals of secondary schools in Maiduguri on the same day. Over 650 students of Government Secondary School, Bazra Michika, were lectured on the dangers of substance abuse by the Adamawa State Command on 13th of June. The lecture emphasized the importance of education and self-development in building a brighter future. On Wednesday, 14th June, the 7th Special Area Command of NDLEA, led by the area commander, paid a wider advocacy visit to the Vice Chancellor, Lagos State University of Education, Professor Bidemi Dokis Rafiaji Okuneye. The F-Zonal Command of the agency paid a wider advocacy visit to the Vice Chancellor, Kaduna State University, Kaduna, Professor Abdullahi Musa, on Thursday, 15th June, while in Rivers, the State Command lectured students of Peculiar Global School Boni in its wider sensitization efforts. That's all for this segment. The conversation continues shortly. My name is Blessing Alpha. Over to our host, Mr. Femi Baba Femi.
Thank you very much. Blessing. You sounded so fast because I guess you are fresh from your vacation. Thank you for that. Welcome back to everyone from the news highlight segments. Let's quickly remind of some of the rules guiding our process of engagement on this platform today. When we approve you to speak or to be on the speaker's corner, please let's remain quiet there, remain muted until after the presentation by our guest, and we start inviting individuals to unmute themselves to ask their questions make their interventions or contributions in few seconds. Let's ensure that when we are giving the mic, let's make our contributions, ask our questions or interventions in just few seconds, so that we can go around as many people as possible. That's why it's a conversation. Let's encourage others to also be part of this process. We must emphasize that here it's an awareness creating platform. That is where we create awareness about what we do, about substance abuse and the consequences, how we can overcome the challenges of substance abuse, and how we can prevent such, as well as what we do in our drug control efforts. We do not discuss politics here, and so we don't encourage unauthorized interruption. Let's all remain guided so that we can enjoy the conversation and learn from the contributions of one another. Thanks for your usual cooperation. Today's program, as usual, will be as interactive as possible when we hand over to our guest speaker, who is already well seated and ready to give us give us some insights into this very important topic, that is dangers of nitrous oxide balloons. That's one substance that is very popular among the youth population. So we're trying to create awareness about that, especially as we go towards the International Day Against Substance Abuse and illicit drug trafficking. It's a global one. Now, for those, I also know that we have quite some people, especially those who are ready to work with the agency. They're always here to listen to what we have to say for updates. If there's anything, we'll probably be coming with that towards the end of the program. So again, for those class of people, let's also remain calm. If there's any information, we'll definitely be updating you towards the end of the program. Like we often say, we are here to, as part of our commitment to engage with all the stakeholders, whether whoever they may be, whether at the family level, the community level, be you faith-based, be you a leader in faith-based organizations, the churches, the mosques, the schools, or even as an individual, we all have roles to play in this whole exercise of creating awareness about substance abuse. And so today we won't be introducing to you someone quite a number of us may probably have heard about, somebody you must have come across, somebody you must have read about. He is Dr. Ajidahun Olushina. He's someone that is passionate about public health awareness, and he's been doing quite fantastically well in that regard. He's someone a lot of people also know as the bearded Dr. Shina. When you see his picture or his DP, you will definitely understand why some people call him the bearded Dr. Shina. He's an award-winning medical doctor who graduated from the University of Ibadan with distinction. He has interest in research, awareness, and he has works. His works has been featured in international journals. He's someone who sits at the board of some health tech companies, while he is the current chief executive officer of Lifeboss Labs, which has some subsidiaries. It's a digital tech startup with subsidiaries which include custodial health and private health. He has worked with a number of multinational organizations. He's a health influencer and has used his various media platforms to educate and host the public via health sessions, health treat, news and updates. All of this, I can tell you, attracted the agency to him to invite him to come and be part of this effort to create awareness on the platform of the agency. And so it's my singular pleasure and honor to invite Dr. Ajidahun Olushina to please unmute himself, and in the next 30 minutes or thereabout, we will be listening to him, and thereafter we will be interrogating his presentation and asking questions. Thank you, Dr. Our bearded Dr. Shina. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much, sir, for that wonderful introduction, and thank you, NDLA. I really, really appreciate this opportunity. Thank you so much for inviting me to give this talk, and I'm also here to learn from people and to contribute my own little quota of knowledge concerning this topic. And as was said earlier, we're going to be talking about dangers of nitrous oxide balloons, and I think it's very, very important. And as has been highlighted earlier, NDLA has been doing a lot of great jobs concerning curbing the menace of drug abuse, and so it's very good we also talk about this, because it seems a lot of people don't really know about this. So I'm glad you're talking about nitrous oxide balloons. All right, just as a brief introduction, I think the issue of balloons went viral, I think some weeks ago, about 3 weeks ago, when there was this video. I don't know if a lot of people can recall. There was this video with, I think they were having a house party, and there were these young guys had these balloons that they were blowing, and they were singing, just they were very, very much happy. And a lot of people were asking, what exactly is wrong with this video? These are just young guys who were maybe just playing and just blowing balloons. A lot of people were confused at what exactly is going on. And well, I got tagged to the post and I shared my now these guys are not just blowing balloons, because if you had watched that video well, you see that while they were holding those balloons, they had some canisters on the floor. Canisters are like this other little jars where they were pumping those canisters into the balloons and were putting something, and that is nitrous oxide, which is a gas. So just to open the statement, so what exactly is nitrous oxide? Because popularly this phenomenon is called balloons. If you watch some videos, music videos, you see some celebrities, all of them, you just see balloons. So a lot of time, if you go for parties, if you go to clubs, the practice is called balloons, and it's basically inhaling nitrous oxide. And what exactly is nitrous oxide? Now, nitrous oxide, it's a gas, and for context, it's a gas that has both industrial and medical uses. Now, because I'm a doctor, I won't talk so much on the industrial uses. I will focus a lot of more of it on medical uses. And so basically, in medical practice, it is one of the gas that we use for surgery. And it's one of the gases that is used to put a patient to sleep, just let some either way. And how it is done is that, well, when a patient is going to be put on nitrous oxide, the patient inhales it, so that means they breathe in the gas, and the gas has some side effect. Now, we know laughing gas, it is that popular gas everybody calls laughing gas, and it was actually called laughing gas because when people inhale it, it creates this sense of euphoria. So euphoria is this happiness, and if you see that video, you notice that those boys are just unnecessarily happy. You understand? It is one of the side effects of nitrous oxide. So nitrous oxide creates this kind of euphoria where people are just happy, they feel on top of the world, they just feel like I can do anything, and they're Bill Gates and Elon Musk it just takes you, it gives you this high. You understand? Now, so surgically and medically that was useful. Yeah, it's also used in bakeries, and it has some like whipped cream and all of that. It's used in feeding and in all of that. So that is the first part of the part. So to talk about the other use of it, well, I won't really say much. Also in dental procedures, also they use much of that. But just something I want to establish is that it's a gas that is used, medically. No, the whole abuse came dated back to something around the 18th century, where for some reasons people started having access to it. This was something that strictly was deemed to be used for medical practice, and for some reasons people then saw that, okay, if I actually take this gas, I could get this temporary high, I could get this feeling, and you understand, and voila, people started, experimenting with this gas, and there was a boom, and it became something so popular, and there was this recreational drug use. I was very, very surprised that it had entered into Nigeria, because I think I saw it. The first time I saw it was, I think, last year. I don't know how long it has been in Nigeria. So what exactly are the effects of nitrous oxide? Now, one thing is, for example, I can explain, it's a gas. So how it works is that you breathe in the gas, right? The gas goes into the lungs. The lungs are those two bags in your chest that help you to breathe in and breathe out. Now, in your lungs, the lungs are also connected to blood vessels. Now, these gas then moves from the lungs and goes into the blood, and then it circulates around. Now, the effect of nitrous oxide, one, from what I just explained, it creates that euphoria. So euphoria of that feeling that, I'm just on top of the world, and it kind of creates this form of relaxation too, so you just feel so calm. And one thing about nitrous oxide, again, the gas, is, allow me to say NO, so I'm not saying nitrous oxide every time. So when I say NO, I mean nitrous oxide. So it also creates this form of hallucination, so people can see some things that are not there. They can just see those things that are not there. So now let's not talk about what exactly can really happen if people are taking it. Now, don't forget, if you are using it medically, it is controlled. Someone is in theater, you have the anesthetist there, the doctors are there, everything is controlled, you understand? So right now, we are now talking about the abuse, which is what the balloons that are popularly used by people. Now, the first thing is that this gas can actually make one dizzy. For now, let's take, for example, a guy goes to a club, is trying to pop, inhale the gas. This person can feel dizzy, and from dizziness, it could fall down. It falls down, it suffers from a head injury. From a head injury, obviously, it has to go to a hospital. From a head injury, it could have bled into the brain. It could die, the first thing. Another thing is, because of the way the gas acts, it actually calms a lot of nerves in the body, so one can even fall down, still goes back to what I'm saying. So you see how dangerous it is. Now, one thing that is known about nitrous oxide is a long-term use, it can damage the nerves. Now, how it works is that a lot of these gases are not something like nitrous oxide. It's not, let me say, nerve friendly. Now, the nerve is your brain, your spinal cord, all those that control everything in your body. This gas can destroy it. So it's one of those kind of classes of gas called neurotoxic. Now, when you say something is neurotoxic, it means it is dangerous to your neurological system. And now imagine people inhaling that. They don't even know that it could cause that. Another thing about some side effects that could actually come with it also is, it can actually lead to low blood level. Now, let me explain how that works. I'm trying to use non-medical terms. So in your blood, you have what we call red blood. So I'm sure we all know that. Red blood cells are those cells in the body that carries oxygen. For you to be alive, you need oxygen. Now, for your body to produce red blood cells, there's one very important component of the DNA of your cells, which is vitamin B12. Now, vitamin B12 is in most of the meat you eat, the milk you drink, and all of that is very important. Now, what nitrous oxide actually does is, nitrous oxide actually attacks vitamin B12. Now, from what I just explained, if there's a problem with vitamin B12, your body is not going to be able to make these red blood cells very well, and you can have these people coming down with low blood levels. Now, again, apart from that, vitamin B12 is for the nerves in your body to work well. For example, now, as I'm spontaneously talking, it's an interplay of my brain, my spinal cord, because backstage here I'm also gesticulating as I'm talking. There are nerves that are controlling all of these impulses, and the nerves actually need this vitamin B12 for them to function well. Nitrous oxide is able to attack vitamin B12, and it distorts the normal functioning of nerves. So you can see that we're about to have a pandemic in our hands now, that a lot of people are using this so-called Ballons, which I'm still going to poke at. And other things it can cause some form of ringing in the ear. We call it nitrous. It can also cause numbness. Now, numbness because it destroys the nerves. And there have been cases of reports. I was reading a paper that I think it was published in an Australian journal where they talked about a case of someone that actually died from an overdose of puffing this nitrous oxide balloons. And another worthy mention of nitrous oxide is that it is not even safe in people that have, like, if a woman is pregnant. For example, now we have maybe a lady 2 months pregnant and she's also doing balloons with her husband. Studies have actually shown that long-term use of nitrous oxide can actually damage the fetus, and it can also cause some abnormalities in the fetus. Now, see what we have in our hands now. We have young people going to parties, and for some reasons they have access to this dangerous gas, a gas that can destroy the nerves, a gas that can affect blood levels, a gas that can make you lose motor control and give you all this false sense of euphoria and all of that. Now let me quote some studies now, and in 2018, I think Ohio in USA, there was a case that was reported of a young guy that actually died from asphyxiation as a result of nitrous oxide. So now, what happened to this person is that this guy he took those balloons, inhaling it like we saw in those videos, and from what I explained earlier, nitrous oxide relaxes, a lot of the organs, and this guy had relaxation of his airway, and straight up, his breathing was cut off. He died. Now, another one also in 2020, I think this was in Dublin. This was a 15-year-old boy too. A case of that was also reported. Well, I don't really have the figures of the people in Nigeria, because in Nigeria we don't really keep records. But I think now that we're raising awareness about this, I'm sure that people will start keeping records, because these are things that we need to talk about that. And just to mention, in some countries have actually put very, 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 very strict laws and regulations concerning the availability of this canister. So how it comes is, if you see that video, you can go back to watch the video, you see that there are some cans on the floor, because this nitrous oxide comes in those cans. And you see now that I was once directed to Snapchat. I went to Snapchat. So apparently we actually have balloon vendors on Snapchat. I hope NDLE will go there also, and maybe somehow look at those handles, because apparently they actually sell these things online. You can just go on Snapchat and just say, I want to order for this canister, this nitrous oxide balloon canister, and we'll have them delivered to you. It's a big blooming business on Snapchat. I think it's really blooming on Twitter, but it's really blooming on Snapchat, and I think it will be good NDLA also, just looks at all of that too. So I think in summary, because I'm sure a lot of people have a lot of questions, let me just summarize everything I've said. Nitrous oxide has medicinal uses, yes, in the medical world, where we use it for surgeries and dental procedures, and it also has its use in some other industries. But nitrous oxide is not safe for recreational use. And I've taken my time to explain the use of nitrous oxide and what it can do, from dizziness to making to creating that false euphoria, hallucination, also being neurotoxic. Neurotoxic meaning it can damage some parts of the nervous system, which involves the brain and the spinal cord. I've also talked about it being dangerous to a pregnant woman and being dangerous to her baby. And what are the long-term effects of this? I mean, when someone gets hung up on this, before you know it, it can affect the person's relation to other people. It can affect this person's job. It can affect a lot of things, a lot of commitment. And you agree with me that if somebody is going to do nitrous oxide, these balloons, it's not going to be only balloons. This person will probably get hung up on cannabis, will probably abuse alcohol, will probably abuse cigarettes and all of that. So what should be our response to this? First is, all of us need to create awareness, because I'm sure now that we've all seen it, that when we see celebrities popping, I still saw a video this week of some from top A-list artists in Nigeria that were in a party, and they were, showcasing these balloons. Now we know that it's not just balloons. They are not just blowing balloons for birthday parties. They are actually inhaling something so dangerous. So we really need to raise awareness, and we need to talk about this. And also, I think the NDLA also needs to tighten their tighten their watch and look out for this. And I have a hypothesis that one of the people, one of the I think kind of people that should also be spoken to should be some of these are musicians, because I believe they are one of the people that are perpetrating this whole drug abuse pandemic. Barely can you watch a Nigerian video that you will not see them smoke something, do balloons or some of this. And young people are so much impressionable. They watch this thing, they want to do it. I mean, this week or last week, one of my colleagues from Ghana, Dr. George, is on this space also. He posted a video of young people. I mean, these girls were like, if I could estimate, these girls were like 15 years or 16 years, and they were doing, I think, the shisha hookah, and they were blazing as if they were volcanoes. It's surprising, 15-year people that should be in secondary schools are already doing that. I've seen videos of 17, 18-year-old boys doing balloons also. So there's a pandemic of this, and I think it's time we talk about it. It's time we raise awareness about it and all of that. So, all right, and yes. So this will be my opening statement. I'm sure that as people ask questions and contributions, we'll be able to expatiate on this. Thank you very much.
Very well said. Thank you for that brilliant and excellent presentation by Dr. The bearded Dr. Shina. I'm tempted to go that route, even though I know your ideal name, your real name, Dr. Ajida Olushina, but then because we belong to this young generation together, I'm feeling cool with that. I don't want to have the feeling that I'm a member of the old school. So even though I don't have the kind of beard that Dr. Shina has for them, that's just an aside. Thank you very much for that. I do appreciate all you have said. Let me quickly appreciate some of the old regular members on the space. Abdulaziz Biodu, thank you. I have seen you there. Thank you, our ever-present and very constant perpetual Nnamdi Emmanuel. Thank you for being around. Thank you also, TJ, that's Atonga Waji, who is a mental health specialist. Thank you. I've seen you also around. Thank you, our own ever-constant, respectable Mrs. Hasia Adamu Bill, who is a renowned psychotherapist. She's always around, very supportive and contributing to all that we do. We appreciate your presence. We definitely be appreciating. I've also seen another doctor, Dr. Dimeji the Great. Thank you. Already approved him. So we'll be having quite a number of well-informed interrogation of the presentation by Dr. Olushina in a moment. I think at about this time, we need to start that. Let me start from where is Perpetua? Perpetua is obviously struggling with her network, but then let me start with Abdulaziz Biodun. Abdulaziz Biodun, please unmute yourself in a few seconds. Let's get your contributions and questions. Then we get Dr. Olushina to respond. Thank you. Abdulaziz, are you available, or we go to the next person? Okay, if Abdulaziz is not ready, let's move to next. Okay, I think I have Dr. Dimeji the Great now. Dr. Dimeji, please quickly unmute yourself and let's get your contribution to the presentation by Dr. Olushina. Thank you. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much, dear Dr. Shina. Thank you very much
Mr. Femi. Thanks for the opportunity for to be here. Our nitrous oxide laughing gas. Reason why it's called balloon is also because people can usually inhale this drug directly from the canister because of the high pressure in this canister. So most times they put it through the balloon. That's what's called the balloon, so that the pressure doesn't cause damage. Because inhaling it from the canister is actually more dangerous. So that's the reason why the drug is actually named. That's why the slang name balloon came from. It's just the way in which this drug is being abused, because you can't actually take it from the canister, except maybe through those other medical means the doctor has mentioned. Also, that's my contribution. Then he has spoken about all the side effects and other things. Also, is that it can cause long-term complication of paralysis because of the damage to the B12 and vitamin B6. So in future, even if you don't get killed by the abuse of the drug itself, so in future you won't even like your old age. I always tell people, the way you live your youthfulness will determine how your old age is going to be. So if youths have abused drugs when they are young, that means when you are old, you won't even have the strength to carry through old age, and you live more dependent on people that might not even be there to support you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, our own Dr. Dimeji the Great. That's very scary indeed. I just hope and pray that as many of our young people on the platform listening to all of this would really take heed, go home with all of this, process this, and live with them, so that these words can continually and continuously ring in their ear and will guide them in taking the right decisions. Okay, next, let's take, okay, I think Perpetua is back. Lady Perpetua Nami Manen, always making sense when she contributes. Let's hear from you now. I hope your network is better now.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And thank you, sir, for the speech. Is really an interesting topic. It's quite a public health issue. I just want to make it a contribution. You know, natural oxide ballons pose a significant as a public health challenge. It's really an issue that youths out there are really battling with. So the misuse of this substance can lead to a range of public health problems, which includes addiction, accidents, legal consequences. And it's important for individuals to be aware of the risk associated with natural oxide use and to avoid using the substances recreationally. And additionally, public health campaigns and education programs can help to raise awareness. You know, most people, most youth out there, is not only youth, because even our elderly parents are people that they like to, they just tell you that smoking is okay, you don't have to as in go against it, it's just something that is in vogue. You know, these things, they are just doing it in a way that it will be very catchy. It's so colorful. It's normal balloon. So why can't I blow it? Why can't I as in put something in it that will distract people? Maybe it will not look as if that they're not doing anything, but something is going on out there. If you go to this club, you see youths as in taking as in fascia, like just like something that is not a normal thing, as in quotes, is not a norm. And this particular case is a case that is deadly. You know, when they inhale it, they become high. They become aware that, I have to do this, I have to go extra mile, I have to just as in distract people from knowing that I'm doing such thing. And because of it, something that is well known, youth are really venturing into it. Nobody is aware of it, and that is where public health as in comes in. I'm a public health expert, and that involves that we need to do more awareness. We need to make people know that these things is not normal. It's not what you think that it is. It goes beyond it. The last speaker said that is when you are old, you now know that the risk life that you took, you're not supposed to take it. And I know that this organization, MDL, is really doing an excellent job. I just want to say kudos to the organization. Thank you for all people do for the youth. And I know that we will always do more. Thank you, sir, for the opportunity once again.
All right, thank you very much. Our own constant lady, Perpetua Namdi Mane. Please, Perpetua, please do give me a heads up in DM later. I think I want to cross check some things with you. Okay, that's that. Let's go to okay. Let me not would Dr. Shinan speak to what Perpetua and Dr. Dimeji the Great had said. Would you want to say something to that? To their contributions? I guess we lost him. Where is okay, I guess we lost him while he finds his way back. Let's go to the next contribution that will be coming from Dr. Okay, I have always tried to get him. That TJ at Tonga Waji. I think your network has not been too stable. Okay, TJ is gone again. Just as I was about inviting him, he's gone again. Okay, we got the bearded Dr. Shina back now. Dr. Shina, would you want to say something to what the Dr. Dimeji the Great as well as Perpetua Nandi Emmanuel had just said?
All right, sir. Hello, sir.
Yes, go ahead. Please, if you want to speak.
Yes. Yes, I lost them for a minute because I don't know what happened. I could not hear at some point. So, but yes, I think from what I got, it's a big public health concern, and trust me, it's something that we, after a lot of doctors saw that video, the medical world saw that video, it actually sparked some form of awakening amongst us that we really need to do a lot, because the way no one even thought, in my widest imagination, I wouldn't have thought that people will go and become so creative and start to have access to something like that, because I've only seen things like this in the theater. So I think another big question we need to ask is, how do people really get access to this? These are gases that are medically, they are controlled. They are controlled. It's not something that you can just find. So we need to ask ourselves, I think, a big question, like how the people get access to this. I'm sure that as we continue in the space, we'll probably have the answer. But yes, it's a big concern, and I think it's good we should nip it on the board now, because for now we've not really seen a lot of cases, emergencies from nitrous oxide. Maybe later in the future we might see more when people start having long-term effect. But I want to assume that there will be days someone might probably overdose on it. So I think it's good we nip it in the bud right now. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, the bearded Dr. Shino. Quickly, let's take, I think if his network is stable now, okay, he's gone again. Something is, I really don't understand what's wrong with TJ. He is a mental health specialist, psychotherapist, and that's why I was actually longing to get his own contribution. But then let's come back home to the agency, where I have one of our brilliant officers and senior officer for that matter, Bashir Ibrahim, standing by. Please unmute yourself. Let's get your contribution to this conversation. Please go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good evening, dear Doctor. Thank you very much. You've really done a good justice to the topic. There's little or nothing to add. But the area I want to talk about is the awareness. If we want to bring it out in form of letting, especially the adolescents, know about it in terms of sensitization, awareness, and what have you, the mind is always evolving. So what am I saying? They are very creative. They want to go and try it. And the research has shown that exposing the young ones to any substance of abuse in terms of awareness, we are not doing them justice. We are not doing good to them. So the best thing which we, especially the NDLA, still lay emphasis on is sensitization, awareness, and advocacy. How many substances, how many drugs are we going to ban? If we don't create the if we don't actually bring out the drug demand reduction aspect of it by imbibing skills. When you talk about resilience skill, peer pressure skill, challenges, how to handle challenges, how to handle pressure, work pressure, and all those things, academic issues in our children. If you keep on saying you are going to be banning, it's at the end of the day we ban almost everything in the universe. So the best thing we can do, and thank God, is not just NDLA alone, is all stakeholders, the traditional rulers, the opinion leaders, the religious, faith-based, the schools, the family, the parents, all of us have to come together. If it is supply religion aspect, you can say, okay, NDLA and other law enforcement can handle that, but this one, all of us, our hands have to come on deck. Because the adolescent mind these days, as we are doing ours here now, thank God we are in the social media, another social media is teaching them something else. Go and mark it. Before we know it now, just like shisha, they will tell you they are only taking shisha, but there are other substances they mix with shisha which they don't even know. Just a few weeks ago, a young boy, 19 years, was going to school. He was intercepted on the road. He has 2 joints of cannabis in his hands, and the parents were contacted. The father was swearing that the son doesn't take anything. The sister was with him. The sister too was swearing he doesn't take anything. But when my men took this boy inside and talked to him, the boy confessed that he takes cannabis, but the father refused to believe. Then what the father did, the father said, please go and test him. Do you know what happened? When this boy was tested, he did not only tested to cannabis, he tested to opiates. And when we ask him, do you take any other drug? He said,
we have a network glitch at our end, but we have been able to sort it out.
That's fine. Thank you very much, Mahmoud. Let's quickly come back to Bashir Ibrahim now. Please go ahead, our commander, with your contribution. Commander Ibrahim, Bashir Ibrahim, please go ahead with your contribution.
I believe he is also having network issues. Commander Bashir Ibrahim.
Okay, if he's struggling with network, let me quickly let me go to our DM now and try and.
I think I'm on.
Okay, please go ahead then. Go ahead.
Okay, as I was saying, thank you, Director, once again. And the doctor has actually done a good justice to the topic, and he has explained to us the risk and the negative consequences of it, the short and the long term. And the other person that spoke said the same thing, health challenge. But one thing I want to take our minds to is we cannot be talking about all these substance of abuse all the time. I pray that the act which being amended, especially talking about us looking at some of these psychoactive substances that are not actually on the schedule that we are supposed to work on, that with the agency will look at it over time, it will be gazetted and we can actually take legal action on them. Another area I really want us to be looking at, which I'm happy that the agency is focusing on now, is drug demand reduction, making the demand for this substance very minimal by way of sensitization, awareness, and advocacy. And good enough, this issue of drug demand reduction is not NDLA alone. Very glad that other stakeholders are coming up, but it's not. We are not there yet. The traditional rulers, the faith-based organizations, the school, the community, and the workplace, we still have a lot of work to do on this area. I think all of us should take it as a mandate that this war against drug abuse should not be left for NDLA alone. If you look at the nitrogen oxide, just as I've said about shisha, very soon it will not be only NO that is going to be inhaled. They will start mixing it with other substances. I made just an example. A young boy, 19 years, was going to school and he was found with 2 joints of cannabis. His parents couldn't believe that the boy was smoking. Eventually, they want us to test him. When we test him, the boy did not only test to cannabis, he also tested to opioids. And we asked him, what other things do you take apart from cannabis? He said he normally takes shisha. Obviously, the shisha he used to take has been linked with opiate derivatives, probably the tramadol and other substances. So, if we are not training them, especially the young ones, on issue of imbibe skills, on resilience skill, peer pressure skill, how to handle pressure, how to handle risk factors that they are exposed to in their environment, in their school places, I don't think we are there yet. So our energy should be targeted towards sensitization, awareness, and advocacy. And I believe that if we are doing this more, I think it's a matter of time, we'll definitely get there. The NDLA is taking a lead. Look at all our social media handles that DMA is leading, and the result has been so wonderful. So once again, Doctor, thank you very much for the lecture, and I wish you well. Thank you, DMA.
Thank you very much, our own Commander of Narcotics, Bashir Ibrahim, for your excellent contribution always. Dr. Shina, would you want to say something to his contribution before we go to others?
Yes, I'd like to say something. First thing is, I really agree with the lacing, and that is very true, because sometimes we even see when we have patients in the emergency and we decide to do toxicology screening. These are people that will just tell you, I don't take drugs. And surprisingly, when you do toxicology screening, you'll be shocked what we isolate from urine and blood samples. You will find people with benzodiazepines and all sorts and meth in their urine and blood. And they will tell you that I don't do all these drugs. So that means we also need to talk about how people should be careful when they go for parties and all of that, because I don't know how, and I think is another thing, and I would even like a response to be, is how do people get some of these things? Because for something like opioids now, there are only prescription drugs. For example, let's look at tramadol. You cannot just walk into a pharmacy and say you want tramadol. The pharmacist is going to ask you for a prescription. But you will find people at clubs having drinks by the tramadol. So how do these clubs get access to tramadol that daily you would not find? It's not over-the-counter prescription drug. Then another thing, I think, a question to you, sir, Mr. Femi Babafemi, I'd like to ask, what is NDLEA doing about the music industry? And I'm very, very particular, because I believe our media, especially our music, is laden with a lot of these things. Barely would you, talk about any of the top A-list artists in Nigeria. Look at their videos. Barely would you see a video where people are not using a lot of drugs? Is it talk about weed, cannabis? Is it cigarette smoking and all of that? And right nowadays we have streaming and people stream videos, people stream all these things. All these young people, people in secondary school are watching these videos. They are impressionable. The way the young mind is, they want to experiment. So it's NDLA. Have you plans for NDLA to work with NBC to be one, maybe banning such videos or limiting how much of those videos the public sees? Because I know a lot of people might say it's unrealistic, but I feel if we're going to take this drug war and we're going to take it top notch, we also have to be able to say that we cannot allow broadcasting of videos that show people using this, because it is just me watching hard drugs on my screen. So I'd like you to maybe respond to that too. What is the NDLA doing, maybe in partnership with NBC, for music videos, especially because I don't want to mention names of artists, but Ballons, if you watch a lot of music videos, these Ballons are done in a lot of music videos. All these drugs, smoking, a lot of, you even see interviews, they are interviewing these celebrities and they are puffing weed right there on your screen, and you see media houses, they will air such content. So what is NDLA doing concerning things like that? Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shina. Quickly, let me, since you have thrown the challenge back to us, let me quickly respond to the issues he raised. Precisely, just as we're discussing this particular NO Ballons, we've also taken this entertainment industry quite away. I've actually brought a number of them, players in that particular sector, to this platform also to share with us, because don't forget also in the past we have gone after, what we do is applying the stick and the carrot approach, trying to, for those that we get with some of these illicit substances, probably trying to deal in them, we ensure that we don't spare them, we take them before the law. I'm aware that a number of them had been actually, we have dealt with some of them that way, taking them before the court for prosecution, and I know exactly a particular one that had been prosecuted and convicted. But beyond that, again, we also know that we can also use a number of them, those, especially those that are not pro drug abuse, to also reach out to their other colleagues, and that we've been doing, trying to get them to use their own platforms. And I was so happy and excited this morning when one of our media partners shared with me, we had an event on Monday, which was the press conference to flag off week-long activities of the World Drug Day, and one of our media partners that covered that event went beyond reporting the event to actually get a number of our Nollywood actors, those in the entertainment industry, musicians and what have you, to actually do a promo for, against substance abuse. I have quite about 10 of our celebrities in that particular video, which was shared with me this morning. I was so excited about it. And this is exactly what we've been trying to do, to get a number of them to actually provide the alternative voice, so that the people who follow them can also know that, okay, this is not all about this industry. This is not all about the new normal. This is absolutely not right. And so over time, we'll be able to correct the impression these other people who are trying to glamorize or glorify substance abuse. But again, beyond then, we know that the agency is also, we have what we call the Interministerial Committee, which is called IMC, where we have quite a number of MDAs involved in what we do. All of these, there are various pillars that the National Drug Control Master Plan has actually highlighted and identified for all our partnering MDAs to do. Assigned roles for them to do. We know quite a number of the organizations that have been mentioned. They are part of this process, and we continue to work with other stakeholders to ensure that they do without necessarily breaking the details down. But then I can assure you, Dr. Shino, that we're working in that line to ensure that all of other stakeholders do the needful what they need to do in that regard. Thank you very much, Dr. Shino. Let's, since it's all about you and the guest speaker today, let's allow some other people to further interrogate your presentation. And I think I have, let's give the opportunity to, I have quite a number of your colleagues. I have Dr. Stan, Big Stan. Dr. Stan, would you want to unmute yourself and let's hear from you quickly? Dr. Stan.
Hello, good afternoon or good morning, everybody. I'm actually calling in from the United States. I'm a doctor, and I'm actually practicing in the United States as well. And I feel like there's been a lot of cases with drug addiction. It's a spectrum. And we're not only dealing with that in only Nigeria. It's something that is actually occurring in the world. All them: fentanyl, tramadol, nicotine. However, I've made some deep research on what these drugs do, and I can gladly say that we need to promote more awareness. And I would also say that the pharmaceutical companies are one of the companies that I hold responsible for what is going on. And why I say that is because they Hello?
Yeah, go ahead. It seems you're on the road, so you are breaking, but quickly, go ahead.
All right. Let me go somewhere. Yeah, so I can have a conversation. Yeah. Like I said, one of the problems that I face, this is a pandemic. It's happening all over the world. If you look at the U.S., especially Kensington in Philadelphia, if you look at San Diego, you look at San Francisco, you look at Chicago, we're dealing with epidemic crisis of drugs. Like I said, it's a spectrum. And I also feel like there is a mass production of these drugs into the world, not just Nigeria, where I'm from originally, but into the world at large. And I feel one of the problems that I look at it is these drugs are having great effect. Number one, there's what they call the codon on the gene sequencing. These things are actually retreading the DNA. We need awareness to let people also understand that there's so many health crises that you could actually get from ingesting drugs, from doing drugs, and all have you, from the change in the nucleotides in the DNA to mental disorder like schizophrenia and all of those kind of stuff. I feel appropriate awareness, and also what I say, like a floodlight to be on people who manufacture these drugs. There's a link. Things happen from a source. There's always the source to how things happen. And I think pharmaceutical companies are responsible because this, from tramadol to fentanyl to any kind of narcotic, is actually the hospital, because these are pain medications that I give to patients, from surgery, hip replacement, and all of that. So I feel like the government of Nigeria and the government of any country need to start asking the right questions to pharmaceutical companies, because I feel that that's where the problem is coming from. Nobody's being held accountable, and that is why we're having these major issues. And also, we have people who are getting these drugs from the pharmaceutical companies and putting it out on the street for people who have little or no pros and cons as to the damage this thing does to your liver, kidneys, and the whole part of your brain. And also the awareness that this also affects and retreads the DNA of every particular human being. Now we're having so much crisis. We're having problems with water, what they call astrazine. Astrazine now is present in drinking water, and it messes up the endocrine system of the body. We humans are not designed to consume this kind of substance. It's meant to take in as much toxins and this harmful stuff, and I feel like maybe there should be posters. Maybe doctors in Nigeria and all over the world, like myself, should be able to have a platform. Maybe every weekend people can actually talk about the danger of drugs, what it does to your DNA, what it does to your body, what it generates in the event that you choose to have kids. Like, how you cannot get yourself out of this until you seek help. Because all of these things are synthetic, and the body is not designed to digest enough of these synthetic chemicals. And then it begins to do a lot of crazy things to the brain and to the body and to the organs. So I feel like awareness should be done, people should be held accountable, and also pharmaceutical companies and hospitals should work hand in hand to be able to come up with a solution to eradicate this problem. I yield my mic. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Stan. I think one of the key points I got from him is holding pharmaceutical companies accountable, especially when it comes to some of these synthetic opioids, drugs, the opioids. Okay, let me allow Dr. Shinan, our guest, to speak to that quickly.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Stan. I think it's a very valid point, and I think, and that also addressed the question, because I want to assume that the big question is, where do people get this from? For example, many of these drugs are very well controlled, so we need to address that, and we need to work, as Dr. Stan said. I think hospitals also have to work in tandem with the government, and that includes pharmacies and even supermarkets and everywhere, because some of these people, I guess, might be acting as vendors on the G. Yeah, and I think another thing we need to do also is it would be good if NDLA also partners with health influencers and maybe campaigns against hard drug use, because now an average youth spends close to at least, say, 8 to 10 hours on their phone, and the way the brain works, the principle of reinforcement, the more they see it, the more they see content around drug awareness, I'm sure that it will make an impression. So I'm working with health influencers. Let's have drug campaigns. Let's have no to cannabis. Let's have no to balloons. # no to balloons. Let's have it everywhere. Let's take it down to the community, grassroots, secondary schools. Let's also have religious homes, because Nigerians are fairly much very spiritual people. So we also need to explore partnering with the religious societies, churches, mosques, traditional homes, and other religions to also enforce this. And yes, I think that's going to also be a way forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shina, for that. I also like to speak to what he has raised there. I can tell you that indeed, when it comes to raising awareness, is one of the things, like our own commander said earlier, Bashir Ibrahim. He indeed said the agency has been paying so much attention to raising awareness, advocacy, and that's why 2021, precisely June 26, 2021, the former President Muhammadu Buhari indeed launched War Against Drug Abuse, WADA, which is an advocacy initiative to mobilize every part of the country, every citizen, every organization, faith-based organizations, community-based organizations, and community leaders all across the country. And ever since, I can tell you that that's part of the news highlights segment, where we can only just give probably 3-4 of those hundreds of visits, hundreds of lectures, sensitization across in various schools, universities, secondary school, primary schools, churches, mosques, all across the country, I can tell you. And all of these also, we have been very open-handed to welcome and receive quite a number of well-spirited people, individuals, and organizations ready to partner with us to also take the message to their own spheres of influence. All of this we're very happy to do. And again, one other point I'd like to also respond to what Dr. Stan and Dr. Shina also raised is the response. And one of the things the agency has recently done is to actually go to the root of some of these opioids. Where are they coming from? How do we work with the source country, the authorities in those source countries? And we're glad that just last week, the agency, through the chairmanship executive of MDLA, General Marwa, he did sign a memorandum of understanding with the Narcotics Control Bureau of India, the Republic of India, because those that know will understand that quite a number of these opioids actually come from those places. In some of our seizures, you see, I mean, we've made tramadol alone, consignments of tramadol worth 22 billion naira in just one single, import. So, in just last year, in just a mansion in the VGC Lekki area of Lagos, we seized over 13.4 million pills of tramadol in one house. So all of these we keep mopping up from across the country, but then we've been able to identify some of the sources where these things are smuggled in for, and we're addressing all of these those sources. That is working with the authorities in those places so that we can block them from those sources. So that's probably one of our responses that's responding to or providing, shedding some light on some of the concerns raised by Dr. Stan and Dr. Again, I think let's give the mic to another medical doctor in the house, Dr. Oluwabusuyi Adebiyi. Would you want to unmute yourself and let's hear from you quickly? It's obvious, looks like
thank you,
the doctors gathering today. Looks like the doctors gathering today. What's happening, Dr.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. And like you observe and you have mentioned that it appears like a doctor's gathering. It appears like that because of the burden of this condition. I was opportune to see a live interview of a 16-year-old girl in the UK who had been involved in the use of these drugs while she was in the high school. And this, and you see a girl who was very fine, who was working perfectly, who was doing well in school, now confined to the wheelchair because of this debilitating effect of the drug. And so it is something that we have big interest in, and that's why you see a lot of us coming, because Nigeria has a huge burden of disease, of communicable disease that we have not even resolved. And then when we now come with the spectrum of drug abuse and misuse, then we know that we have a serious problem in our hands. Now let's look, for instance, this boom of nitrous oxide became something. It has been there for about 250 years as recreational drugs. People are using it low key and all. But in 2017, 2018 in the UK, it became like a boom. And in 2020, 2021, it became the third most commonly used drugs between the ages of 16 and 59 years in the UK. And now the UK government is actually looking at a situation where they are going to categorize this drug as a category C or class C drug with some of punitive measure into it. And so it is, you can see why a lot of us who are practitioners, who are doctors, who have related with younger generation are actually interested in this program. And I'm actually particularly delighted with the approach of we are also conversant with the fact that the social demographics of our patients, in terms of what they are exposed to, in terms of the various effects of the social media, as well as the opportunity to all sort of influence now, is making some of our health choice to change. You can agree with me, in the last 20 years or so, this we will not be talking about nitrous oxide in Nigeria. And of course, in the last 10 years or so, the NDLA was not on Twitter. But because of the changing trends in events among youth, you have found that it is very important for preventive measures to be on this trend, and so that's why we are particularly interested. And I also want to say that in as much as we say we don't want to ban some drugs and all of those ones, we don't have the capacity like every other countries of the world to deal with some of these effects and the pandemic and the financial burden that the consequences of these drugs will bring to on the young population. And so it's important for us to actually stem it now as much as possible through legislation and ensure that we clamp on it as early as possible, just like effort was made on clamping on the use of tramadol and all of that. So for this reason, we want us, yes, the NDLE is doing very well for this effort of sensitization and all of that. But beyond that, we also need to quickly look at the legislation before it's too late and we have a pandemic in our hand in the country. I'm particularly happy that I saw this link on bearded Dr. Shino's profile, and I'm happy I've joined this space. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Dr. Oluwabusui Adebi. Before I invite Dr. Bearded Dr. Shino to speak to that, let me again thank some of our regulars. I think for quite a while we have not seen, we've not been seeing Dara Nelson. Dara Nelson is it's an advocate for the Gen Z. I'm glad seeing her. I hope you are doing well, Dara. Thank you for coming around. We also want to appreciate the UNODC Nigeria, that is United Nations Office on Drug and Crime in Nigeria. Thank you for your support all the way and every time. Thank you for being around also. I guess Dr. Sheena, we lost him again, but then okay, I think he's back again. I wonder what's wrong with the network or the service providers. Dr. Sheena, were you able to get the contributions from Dr. Oluwabusui Adebi from the UK? If you are able to get his contribution, would you want to speak to that?
Well, I think it's just also I totally agree with what he said also, and I think NDLA has really done well, and I like the fact that NDLA has adapted to the changing times, like was rightly pointed out 10 years ago. I doubt NDLA was on social media, but obviously NDLA has adjusted to know that if you're going to connect with the youths, these are people that spend a lot of time online on social media, so you have to also be able to communicate to them. And I think another thing we need to also make known to young people is that there are rehabilitation centers, because a lot of people just feel, okay, even if I have a drug problem use, am I going to be stigmatized? Can I go to the hospital and they won't say call NDLA to arrest me? Can I check into a rehab? Is there a safe? I think we also need to raise awareness that yes, there are a lot of rehabilitation centers that people that have addiction can actually check into. And I think when we have more people, maybe more celebs, able to share their success stories with rehabilitation, it will motivate a lot of young people that are battling with substance use, because I can tell you categorically that there are a lot of young people that are battling with substance use. A lot of them don't know how to seek help. A lot of them, because they're even having side effects from it, they don't have good insight. So if we have people that have been able to successfully go through drug rehabilitation programs,
I guess we lost Dr. Sheena again there. His network obviously is frozen again. Okay, I guess we lost him there again. Definitely when his network is stable, we would ask him to continue with his contribution or his intervention. But meanwhile, pending when he stabilizes, let's take another contribution from TJ. TJ has also been having a fluctuating network, but TJ, if you can hear me, if you are ready now, you can quickly unmute yourself and let's hear from you. TJ, that's at Tonga YG. That's TJ, can you hear me? Okay, maybe TJ is also not ready. Let's go to, okay, I've seen a dentist in the house. Let's go to Ife Adetula. Ife Adetula, if you can hear me, can you unmute yourself and let's hear from you?
Okay, good evening, sir. How are you doing?
You're loud and clear, please go ahead.
Okay, my name is Dr. Adetula Ifeoluwa. I'm a dentist, and I'm interested in public health dentistry, and I'm very happy to be on this space where we are talking about this kind of issue, because I think this weekend, I think specifically on Saturday, I was just stepping out of my estate when somebody just fell down behind me. When I turned back to check, it was a classical young person who is very, high on drugs, and so, of course, in addition to some other things, I've been interested in a kind of space like this where this kind of stuff is being discussed, because there are many signs you see in the mouth that can give an idea if a particular person is going into drugs. For example, some of these drugs can have maybe drying effect. Some of them you can see maybe some patches in the mouth. Of course, in addition to breath, that you can pick some things up. And I think in addition to the great effort that NDLA is putting in place, incorporating oral health space into some of this screening could also be a very good point at which some of these things can be picked up. And sincerely, I have to acknowledge the fact that great work has been put in place, because all of these aspects of life, frustration, satisfying oneself with drug or substances, all of them, they are inculcated. So before a particular person gets to the point at which medical science are happening, where irreversible damages are occurring, some of those random screening, which are effective, which are also cheap relatively, are points at which some of these things can be picked up. And I think let me also acknowledge how my friend was able to also communicate. We are used to using the big words, but of course it's just to acknowledge how that he broke it down so that anybody on the space can pick one or two lessons. And then I'm hoping that going forward, it will lead to many more action, and in our own way we will have contributed positively to the society. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ife Adetula, who is a dentist, for introducing another perspective to it. But then I think shortly before Dr. Shinan went off the line, he did mention something like things like getting help for those who are struggling with substance abuse, the fear of stigmatization, and I quickly want to put something into that. I also think Dr. Oluwabusi from UK also mentioned something in like provision of providing help for those who are. That's absolutely, even though that's that's the theme for this year's International Day Against Substance Abuse and Illicit Drug Trafficking, which is People First, Stop Stigma and Discrimination, Strengthen Prevention. And one of the things, like I said before, we have the WADA Advocacy Initiative to mobilize everybody to buy in and take ownership of the campaign against substance abuse, which is aimed at sensitizing the populace in the area of prevention. And again, for those that are already in the basket of substance abuse, I also like to tell us quickly that the agency also last year set up a drug abuse center where we have some mental health experts, counselors, psychologists, psychotherapists, psychiatric doctors, all of them running 24/7, working 24/7, and with a toll-free helpline, which I'm ready to give now. The toll-free helpline is 0800 1020 3040. I repeat, 0800 1020 3040. Anybody can sit in the comfort of their home from any part of the country and call this helpline. Through that, our experts will attend to them. And another good thing about this is, apart from it being toll free, that is at no cost to the caller, either to somebody who need help or family members. It's also language friendly. Again, you can, if apart from English and Pidgin English, which the experts at the other end can engage with you, speak with you. We also have the three major languages for those, just to ensure that anybody, people in the local areas can access the services provided by this center. That is Hausa, Igbo, and Yoruba languages. They are all available at the center for those, so that to discourage or to encourage people who are afraid of stigmatization at this call center. Your information, your details are treated with utmost confidentiality, and you have no fear of stigmatization, no fear of anybody judging you. You can rest assured that we're there to provide help for you, and that's basic about that. Beyond that, the agency is also working with quite a number of private rehab centers across the country, beyond even those established by the government. And we're also trying to expand and increase the number of facilities that is in our own commands across the country also. Aside that, I'm also aware that the government has approved some model rehab centers for the agency. Also, we are working on all of this just to balance the drug supply reduction and the drug demand reduction activities of the agency. That I guess Dr. Shina is well stable now. Your network is well stable.
Oh yes, yes.
Okay, can you let me allow you to land now? Then maybe if you have another of your colleague, Dr. Ife Adetula, so that you can also speak to what he raised.
Okay, yes. So what I was saying was, I think you've addressed it, was just about a safe space for young people that finally identify that they have problems with drug and substance use, which you've already addressed. So that was what I was trying to say. And I think Dr. Adetula was mentioning the dental area, which I think is very, very important. And it's sad that in Nigeria we really don't pay attention to dental visits. And he has highlighted some of the changes that could actually suggest some problems with drug use, like the dental teeth erosions, caries, and some of these things. And I think an advocacy for incorporating that too into outreaches too will be a welcome idea. Yes, so I think that would just be my comment on that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's quickly share. Is TJ ready now? If you are ready, let's take you, or I'll move to the next person. That's Mayowa Emmanuel. Mayowa Emmanuel, in few seconds, because we have barely 15 minutes left on the program. I can also see Bashir Ibrahim, our commander, also raising his hand. I'll come to you immediately after Mayowa Emmanuel. Please, Mayowa Emmanuel, go ahead.
Good evening, House. My name is Emmanuel Paul Mayowa, and I'm calling from Lagos. And the topic today is quite interesting, and I had to go and do some research about it personally. And I saw the hazard it can cause to the livelihood of our youth across the nation. But my thought was my childhood. I could remember very well in Plateau State, Abattoir to be precise. There is this young fellow I don't know him. I was about 13 or 14 years old then. And he always have this pure water nylon in his pocket. And there's this substance he puts into it. And after doing that, he takes it in, like blowing it, pumping it, blowing it and pumping it. But as I then, I never knew what it was. But I noticed that what he actually puts into the nylon was this tube vulcanizer uses to gum their tires. And the guy always laughed on the street. And when I read about the topic of today, I had to go and do research. So the only thought that came to my mind was that. So my question personally is this, that this substance, that they use, vulcanizer use, does it have this substance in it? Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Mayowa Emmanuel. Will Dr. Shina want to speak to that, or we'll move to the next person?
Okay, let me just speak to that. Thank you very much, Mawa, for that question. Now, hard drugs have a spectrum. I'm not so sure which one of the ones vulcanizers use, but there's something called glue. Now, so there are some people that actually inhale glue. So there's something called glue. It's also part of. It's not very, very common, but what it is. I'm not sure if that is what is the vulcanizer one. But since you said something like glue, there's something called glue, which some people actually sniff, and some people also have addiction to it. And when you some side effects of people that have that sniff glue, they could have all this anxiety, and they could also feel so happy. And in some severe cases, some of them can actually have seizures and convulsions and all of that. Yes, so there's something actually called glue, which also is a substance that is abused by people. Maybe another thing when we do a space, we can actually talk about the whole spectrum of things that are abused. A lot of time people just think it's just cigarettes, cannabis, cocaine. No, there are a lot of things. There are some that are not common. Things like blues, there are a lot of inhalants. Like there are so many things that people abuse. So it is possible that what that person was actually sniffing or taking it was that glue. It will shock you that some people even get high on sanitizer. I'm sure maybe one of these days we'll talk about that, but it's a whole spectrum of substances, and there's something called glue which people sniff. And one way you could actually know is that if you look at people that are sniffing glue, if you just look below the what we call filtrum of the nose, just that how do I explain? Just that middle thing in the nose, just behind that, you might see some form of injury in those kind of people, just above the lips, because when you sniff all of these things, some of them can irritate the nose area. So there's something called like sniffer dermatitis. So these are some telltale signs you might actually find in people that inhale and sniff glue. All right, thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Dr. Shina. The time is really running fast against us, but then let's quickly make use of the next 10 minutes we have left. Okay, Bashir Bahim, quickly, you were raising up your hands. You want to say something in 20 seconds? Okay.
Okay, Director, you actually addressed what I wanted you to address. That's the agencies rehabilitation centers and the toll-free call center. Briefly,
okay.
Another thing I really want to just talk now, they're talking about substance. If you watch our prevention these days, we don't just talk about drugs now, we talk about substances. And sometimes back on this space, we got in somebody to talk about new psychoactive substances. So we are not just talking about drugs when we talk about substance abuse these days. All those other substances that are not listed on schedule, we'll be talking about them. And if you look at this year's theme, which is People First, Stop Stigmatization and Discrimination, Strengthen the Prevention. So I think MDLA is quite on the right path. All we just need is the support of other stakeholders. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. Let's take some more. Maybe let me quickly go to DM. Who is this? Okay, let's see. Saki Abdullah has been raising his hands up since. Okay, Saki Abdullah, please, let's hear from you quickly in 20 seconds.
Okay, thank you very much, sir, for the chance given to me. I'm trying to ask question on the when will the list of for the successful
Okay, that's
candidate?
not what. Thank you, Saki. That's not what we're dealing with at the moment. We would. I told you when I was giving the introductory remarks to this space that I'll most likely be coming up with one or two information for you at the end of the conversation. But then, okay, let me quickly go to our DM to take one or two questions there for Dr. Okay, Blessing is asking, nitrous oxide is a form of designer drug. Little or no studies have really been conducted on it. What would you say is the scale of use in the Nigerian communities, and how long has it been in circulation? Well, I don't know, Dr. Shina, would you be in a position to answer? Okay, I think the same person also has another one. Just note that, Dr. Shina, let me quickly add this from the same person. NO is being used as a safe drug during pregnancy. What drug are the youth substituting it for or using it with? Is it substituting marijuana, cocaine, or alcohol, or are people using them together for a different effect? That's two loaded questions for you, Dr. Shina. Please go ahead. Okay, Dr. Gina, did you hear the question? Did you get the question?
I didn't get the first question totally.
Okay, let me go through the two again. Blessing is asking, nitrous oxide is a form of design. Is NO is being used as a safe drug during pregnancy. What drug are the youth substituting it for or using it with? Is it substituting? Are they substituting it? Are they substituting marijuana, cocaine, or alcohol, or are people using them together for a different effect? That's I think there are two loaded questions.
Okay. All right. So thank you very much for that question. So to answer the first question, the thing again is that nitrous oxide is not NO, so there's a difference between NO and N2. Now, the first thing is to answer the first part, the first question. We really don't. A lot of times, you don't really even find people using nitrous oxide in the theater right now. It's now, I was using the word, a bit obsolete. It's not something you'll find. There are newer things people use. And one thing is that most times when you use nitrous oxide, it's not used alone. It's used in combo. And even if they are going to use it for surgeries and all of that, like I explained earlier, it is controlled. It's not every day you get to do surgeries and all of that, and there are indications, what we call indications, there are reasons that decide the choices of all of that. And for pregnant women, now I'm talking about balloons, we're not talking about using for surgeries. I'll kind of limit the discussion for medical purposes because this is not, we're not talking about the use for surgeries and all of that. But for if a pregnant woman takes in balloons and all of that, like we said, it's not very safe, because it can actually harm the baby. To answer the second question, which I did not really get, people have been experimenting on all of this. I can't give exactly how long nitrous oxide has been abused in Nigeria, but I think because of social media and a lot of us are seeing it now, that's why we talk around people doing balloons and people abusing nitrous oxide it's being talked about. In some countries, it's actually a very big public health thing for concern. But in Nigeria, now that we are seeing it, I'm sure that with time, it will be something that just the way we talk about cannabis, we talk about shisha and things like that, we'll be talking about balloons, because now we know that people are doing balloons as day-to-day recreational activities. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Sheena. There is a senior member of this platform that has been missing in action for some time now. Suddenly, I just found her on another handle, and she's smiling at me as I'm looking at her. Dr. Kemi Lawyer, I almost declared you wanted, but then, fortunately...
I'm in Dallas. KG and I were in Dallas Airport, and I'm getting ready to take a flight.
Oh, okay. Please,
yeah.
Let's hear
because you guys, the time difference everywhere is just confusing for me. First, I want to commend Dr. Sheena because I've been following his work. I mean, not paid fellow on this social media thing, but I've been following his work, and he's giving some. Everybody needs to be seeing what he's doing. Dr. Sheena, thank you for coming to the space. I was here 15 months, and I did my part. Everybody has to do their part. I just wanted to say this real quick, Mr. Babafemi and everybody, good afternoon. I was in Ghana about 3 weeks ago, and I lived in a hotel. They call it short let. And as I was going back into my apartment, I found some nitrous oxide canisters. I'm actually going to post it now because I didn't know this was what you were talking about. So somebody put them near my apartment door, and I went to the apartment where they were cleaning, and I said to the cleaning lady, "What are these? Do you know what these are?" She said, "No, my boss just told me to sweep this place and throw them out." There were nitrous oxide canisters that were used at a party in that very apartment 2 days before, and I knew they were having a party there. It didn't concern me. But seeing the canisters in the sun near my door worried me. And when I looked at it, and the caretaker came and told me and said, Dr. Kemi, this is nothing in Ghana. Everybody does this in Ghana. It's a party drug. I was very surprised because I've done a lot of shows with the NDLEA and on my own about nitrous oxide. I'm a pharmacist. These things will suck oxygen off your brain. Okay, nitrous oxide balloons were used on social media a lot, like Dr. Sheena said, especially one video that Davido had. They used it in the video, and it surprised me and it shocked me. When you use nitrous oxide has been a thing in the past since the 60s. And like Dr. Sheena said, he doesn't know how long they've been doing it in Nigeria, but this is something that's been done for years. However, as professionals, we have to separate the thin line of, are you educating somebody against something, or you're teaching them how to use it? Nitrous oxide is in everybody's house. Fleet, air freshener, body spray. That thing that's sounding in the bottom is nitrous oxide. British kids will cut the bottom of the air freshener and whatever that's aerosol when it's done, and then they'll take the ball and sniff it in the back. That's what we're getting it for. But now they're openly doing it as balloons and all. Remember, nitrous oxide gas, they call it waste oxygen from your brain and cause something called hypoxia. I've said this many times. HYPOXIA. You can Google it. Has someone and they're enjoying it doesn't mean it's going to do the same for you. So I'm just here for 2 minutes of warning. Do not watch your children when they're taking all these empty cans. Go to the back of the house. Look at what they're doing in the trash. It's very important because abroad. Sorry, I'm speaking Yoruba. Everything they've done abroad is now in Nigeria. So please watch your kids because it's a household substance. I will post the canisters that were put near my apartment when I was on assignment in Ghana 3 weeks ago. It's very shocking though, because my own thing was that if this thing were to blow up, because the maid didn't even know what she was carrying out, I probably just say carry those canisters out, we're going to dispose of them in the apartment. But they were in front of my own door, and it was sunny. So that's all I have to say. Just watch your kids. Thanks, Mr. Bafem.
Well said. Thank you, Dr. Kemi. Thanks for showing up at the point I was almost declaring you wanted when I didn't see your brake light again. I didn't know you were on a trip.
I'm try. I'm at Chemified Africa on Facebook. Everybody can join us there. Wellness for Women. And I'm in West Africa for about 7 countries. I'm actually heading towards another flight to Sierra Leone. Tomorrow is the election, but I have to be there because I start work there on Monday. Chemified is Wellness for Women. But it's on Twitter. I've not started it, but go to Facebook. You'll love it. Chemified Africa. Facebook, Chemified Africa. I'll be stopping by if I can. It's the time.
All the best. I can understand. All the best. My regards to TK. KJ. My regards to my love to KJ, please.
Thank
all
you.
Right.
Thank you.
Travels. Okay then. Okay, Dr. Shina, let's take your final shot on the program today before we draw the curtain. Let's hear your closing remarks. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. And a big thank you to NDLA for organizing this. And my closing remark would be that the awareness concerning hard drug use, it's dependent on all of us. It's not something for NDLA alone. No. Myself, yourself, Mama, Papa, everyone, it's our duty to actually raise awareness about the use of hard drugs because give or take, there's a pandemic. I like to target pandemics because this is bigger than Nigeria. There's a pandemic of hard drug use amongst youths. And if we don't, nip it in the bud right now, we are going to head towards a future. We're going to have people that have psychosis, people that are having increased mental illnesses, people that are becoming suicidal. And to cool down on balloons, I usually advise people, if you're going to go to any party, for example, youth-oriented parties, be careful of what you drink because this is the 21st century where they will spike your drinks, they will say brownies, and they will lace your drinks and all of that. So you yourself have to be very much aware, talk about these, raise awareness, and also help NDLE to make their work easy, join in campaigns against hard drugs, no to hard drugs, no to balloons, and all of this, because I work in the medical sector and I get to see a lot of what these things are doing. Apart from that, today we didn't explore things like people that inject drugs and get HIV, heroin, and all of that. I'm sure maybe one of you will talk about that because hard drug is not only about addiction, mental problem. It actually has some diseases, hepatitis B, hepatitis C, all of that can also be spread also. So the onus is on all of us to actually go out there to tell people about it and let them know that they can actually get help. As has been said, the federal government has launched a program where you can actually make calls toll-free and talk to someone and get checked into rehabilitation centers. So even if you feel you're suffering from addiction and all of that, you can actually check into rehab where you will not be stigmatized. And I look forward to a better Nigeria where we have a drug-free Nigeria, and I know one day we're going to get there. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shina. How I wish you can see the way I'm clapping for you here because indeed you have represented your generation very well. You have spoken very well and you are doing greatly, awesomely well. Thank you very much. Even though quite a lot of people heap everything on the youth, but then Dr. Shina is still a young man and he's doing awesomely well, making impacts, contributing to the social economic development of this country. And that's exactly the kind of role model we want our Gen Z millennials to look up to, not people who are misleading them and leading them into perdition and ruining their destinies and their dreams for life. Okay, before I close, before I appreciate all of those people that have been patient with us, I'm sure quite a number of applicants have been waiting, but because a lot of you, after I just say, the next thing I'll say is some statements out there quoting me. I mean, it's so baffling, but then that will stop me from encouraging you to keep hoping, and I can tell you, hopefully by the next time we're having this conversation on this space, it's not impossible then that your list would have been out. And for those that, like as I always say, for those that may not be able to make it, I can tell you that there is still hope for you also, because I know indeed that this is not going to be the last. The agency is still working on, I mean, having more people, having more boots on the ground to fight this war. And then that means you still have another opportunity in the coming weeks and the coming months also to join the process. So please stay hopeful. The agency alone cannot take everybody. We had more than 2 million applications. How do we do that? It's not possible. So, but then I can assure you that there is still hope again for another set of people even after this one. But I'm very certain that by the next time we'll be speaking again on this platform, most likely then we will be sure of the date when those that were finally, picked after the interview and screening, the date they will probably be reporting for training, or the list would have been out by then. Again, for those who may not make it, I'd like to assure you that it's not time to be despondent yet. I also know that the agency has another plan again in the offing to start another process very soon. So let's all keep hope alive and be very sure that we stay within the ambit of the law. We do the right thing rather than copying the wrong thing out there. On that note, I'd like to thank our special guest, our guest speaker, Dr. Ajidahun Olushina, for his excellent presentation, for taking time to be with us today. Dr. Ajidahun Olushina is a public health expert who has made enormous impact. We want to appreciate all those that have spoken. We want to thank our own Dr. Dimeji the Great. We want to thank our commander, Bashir Ibrahim. We want to thank Mayowa Emmanuel. Abdulaziz Abiodun. Okay, I think Abdulaziz Abiodun, he speaks every week, but this time he was muted. But then thank you for being around. Thank you also, Saki Abdullahi. Thank you, Perpetua Onamdi Emmanuel. She's another vocal and brilliant young woman. Thank you for always being around. TJ also, I gave the opportunity, but you never made use of it today. Thank you for being around. Anyway, thank you, our own senior citizen on the platform, Mrs. Asiya Adamubu. I know I saw she was quiet, but then I saw her listening patiently on the platform. Thank you for always coming around. I hope to discuss the next show with you. We want to thank all the medical doctors in the house, Dr. Oluwabusuyi Adebeyi, who joined us from the UK. We want to thank also Dr. Stan, who joined us from the US. Thank you all for your excellent contributions. Again, Dr. Ife Adetula, a dentist who joined us from Lagos. Thank you for your own contribution as well. We thank UNODC Nigeria for being part of this process. UNODC has always been a pillar of support to the NDLA in decades past, to Nigeria especially. Thank you for standing by us in Nigeria, especially in NDLA, for all the support. Thank you, Dr. Kemi Olunloyo. Even though you are on transit, you still found time to be part of the conversation today. We hope to come your way again, hopefully next Friday, if there is no public holiday. Otherwise, the upper Friday would be reconvening here again to consider another topic. I remain yours sincerely, Femi Babafemi, your host on this program. We hope to see you again. Please enjoy your weekend, and I'll leave you in the hands of my colleagues. Thank you very much. Lest I forget you people, Francis, Mahmoud, Bamidele, Philemon, Blessing, and Shidi, all of you. I appreciate I may not be able to mention all your names, but thank you guys for standing by and helping out with the background work. Until we come your way next time, do have a wonderful weekend, and I'll leave you in the hands of Mahmoud to close the show. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, sir. And just as you rightly said, this brings us to the end of the program. For more information about the agency, our listeners can visit our website, www.ndla.gov.ng, and our social media platforms at ndla_Nigeria on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And on Facebook, it is at ndla01. Please join us sometime next week for another edition of this wonderful program. Goodbye.
Just look up in your life. I cannot apply, make it back, I want to me. Even though something must to kill a man. I cannot apply, make us kill the beast. I go stand up and go look for the country now.